previous modules, we'll begin by exploring what this aspect of your role, managing regulatory compliance, looks like at SimpleBank. Next, you'll assess your skills in this section through 5 diagnostic questions. Then, we'll review these questions. Based on the areas you need to learn more about, you'll identify resources to include in your study plan.
Let's explore how a professional cloud security engineer at SimpleBank helps ensure security regulatory compliance. The final area of concern for the professional cloud security engineer is ensuring compliance with the chosen set of security standards. An organization's standards depend on the business and competitive landscape, and can include such standards as HIPAA, the NIST cybersecurity framework, FedRAMP, SOC 1 and SOC 2, and many others. These standards typically specify requirements related to how authentication, authorization, and access control can be performed, how data is encrypted and otherwise secured, how key management is performed, and how networks, computing, and storage resources are monitored, secured, and maintained. Google Cloud meets many third-party and government compliance standards worldwide. SimpleBank will be building on top of Google Cloud and can leverage the compliance built into the infrastructure of Google Cloud. However, as a professional cloud security engineer, you will need to help ensure that the applications and services SimpleBank builds on top of this infrastructure are also compliant with your chosen standards. Google Cloud has been certified as secure, but that does not mean that applications built on Google Cloud are automatically certified. Google products undergo regular independent verification of security, privacy, and compliance controls. To help customers with compliance reporting, Google shares information and best practices and provides access to documentation. HIPAA, FedRAMP, and SOC 1 are just a sample of the compliance offerings of Google Cloud. For the full set, visit the link in the speaker notes. SimpleBank does not need to worry about getting Google Cloud tools and services certified, only those services that they build on top of Google Cloud. It is important to note that when deploying services on Google Cloud, it is still necessary to ensure that you follow applicable standards. For example, Google provides you with documentation on how to set up a HIPAA-aligned project. See the link in the speaker notes for more details. In the cloud, an important concept is the shared responsibility model. The cloud provider, in this case Google, is responsible for the shared physical infrastructure and managing its security. When working in an infrastructure as a service model, the customer, in this case SimpleBank, is responsible for securing the virtual infrastructure built over the top of the physical infrastructure, the workloads running in that virtual infrastructure, and data. When working in other more managed approaches, Google can take over more responsibility for the virtual infrastructure and its security. Depending on how a customer works in the cloud, this can involve more or less security responsibility and effort to ensure security compliance. Google helps you by providing best practices, templates, products, and solutions. SimpleBank will use Google Cloud's default encryption at rest, where compliance does not require conflicting key control or storage requirements. Where there is such conflict, you can leverage customer-managed encryption keys, or CMEKs, customer-supplied encryption keys, or CSEKs, or externally managed keys. These options provide encryption at rest with varying degrees of control over keys and key storage. Where compliance requirements dictate, you can also store keys in hardware-based hardened key storage appliances via Cloud HSM. SimpleBank will use Google Cloud's default encryption in motion for managed services, or when data is transferred across physical boundaries controlled by Google Cloud. Where there are compliance requirements for auditable end-to-end encryption, or encryption using a particular set of ciphers or protocols, we will help SimpleBank apply application layer encryption using TLS or similar protocols. SimpleBank will use sensitive data protection to scan and classify data. You'll have metadata applied to indicate sensitive data or data that requires special treatment, and optionally, transform that data to allow it to be used without risk of exposure. Using the sensitive data protection process will help SimpleBank satisfy compliance requirements related to dealing appropriately with sensitive data. The metadata that is applied as part of the sensitive data protection scanning process can then be used to determine whether or not to grant access to data based on the sensitivity indicated by the metadata. You can apply granular access control to data to ensure correct access based on sensitivity. SimpleBank has compliance requirements related to data residency and from where and how data can be accessed. As a professional cloud security engineer, you help SimpleBank leverage VPC service controls to enforce data residency and location-based access requirements by limiting access to the data from specific VPCs that are located in approved locations. SimpleBank can limit access to only VMs in those VPCs that are hardened and have the necessary software installed to ensure correct and secure processing of the data. VPCs can be configured with subnets in only certain regions, which when combined with VPC service controls can constrain access to data from only those locations. SimpleBank has compliance requirements that require you to classify networks by trust level. The highest trust networks have no direct connectivity to the internet and satisfy strict requirements about when and how they can be used, what sort of traffic can flow into them, and how that traffic is scanned. SimpleBank will use many isolated VPCs for different workloads to help satisfy such requirements. Having different VPCs for different workloads can also facilitate location-based access requirements when combined with VPC service controls. SimpleBank has compliance requirements which mandate policies that define, lock down, and restrict what can be done in cloud environments to prevent unauthorized activity. Organization policy constraints can be applied to the organization or any folder or project, and restrict how Google Cloud can be used. This lets you specify which Google Cloud services can be used in which projects, and the parameters of that usage. The principles of least privilege and separation of duties are commonly expressed in the requirements of security standards. Compliance may require auditable least privilege and separation of duties and access control policies. Google Cloud IAM policies, which allow roles to be bound to identities at any level of the hierarchy, with optional IAM conditions to provide fine-grained conditional access, let SimpleBank satisfy such requirements. Now, it's your turn to assess your experience and skills related to this section with some diagnostic questions. Remember, the purpose of these questions is to help you better understand what is involved in this section of the exam guide and identify which areas you'll want to focus on in your study plan. Now, let's review how to use these Now, let's review how to use these diagnostic questions to help you identify in your study plan. Welcome to Module 6, your next steps. In this module, you'll focus on creating your individualized study plan. In this module, you'll use the notes you engineer journey. Throughout this course, you're exposed to and engage with exam topics through a series of lectures, journey. Understanding of when will you take the exam? Sure to leave enough time and note your answers in the Google Cloud and how much time you have available to dedicate to studying each week. You might choose to focus on specific courses or skill badges each week, such as in this sample study plan, or instead focus your study on a specific topic, such as managing service accounts. Once you have a high-level idea of how many weeks you have to study and how you want to determine your weekly focus, you'll want to build out a plan with weekly goals and study activities. Use a template in your workbook to plan your study goals for each week. Consider what exam guide sections or topic areas will you focus on? What courses or specific modules will help you learn more? What skill badges or labs will you work on for hands-on practice? What documentation links will you review? And what additional resources will you use, such as sample questions? You may do some or all of these study activities each week. Let's review an example. For example, if you've identified managing service accounts as a particular area you need to study, you might choose to structure your study for a week to include targeted modules from the on-demand training, a related skill badge for hands-on practice, and documentation. Alternatively, you might choose 1 week to complete an entire course and another week to focus on a skill badge. You can determine the approach that fits your existing skill set. Find the weekly study template at the end of your workbook. Duplicate the weekly template for the number of weeks in your individual preparation journey. Remember, you may need to adjust your plans based on the areas where you need to learn more. For more information about the resources we've discussed in this course, refer to your notes and the student copy of the slides. To register for the exam, follow the link on the Professional Cloud Security Engineer certification questions and knowledge book that will guide you through the rest of your certification readiness journey.
Hi, and welcome to the Google Cloud Fundamentals Core Infrastructure Training course. The goal of this course is to provide you with an overview of Google Cloud. Google Cloud offerings can be broadly categorized as compute, storage, big data, machine learning, and application services for web, mobile, analytics, and backend solutions. Through a combination of videos, quizzes, and hands-on labs, you'll learn the value of Google Cloud and how cloud solutions factor into business strategies. The intended target audience of today's course consists of solutions developers, systems operations professionals, and solution architects planning to deploy applications and create application environments on Google Cloud. This course will also be useful for business decision makers evaluating Google Cloud.
While you should be happy to hear that we'll be finding out about services and concepts that are specific to Google Cloud in this course, do keep in mind that as a fundamentals level course, some content will be geared towards learners who are entirely new to cloud technologies. This course has no prerequisites, although it's helpful to be familiar with application development,